Hey guys, this is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the weekly analysis. Today is Monday the 15th of January 2018 and the time is 20:06 here in the UK. You're looking at a USDJPY daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for price action setups across all these pairs that I trade here and across all the time frames. This is the first analysis session of the year. The first proper analysis session of the year. We tried one yesterday, but there were some technical difficulties. So today's analysis is the first proper analysis session of the year. I'm just getting back from my 6-week break. I took six weeks off of trading, as I usually do. I take all of December off and the first few weeks of January. So I'm back and I'm ready to start trading again with a clear mind, nice and relaxed. And that means that the analysis is back, but there is a change to analysis this year. It's going to be a bit different. Instead of doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday analysis, what's going to happen is I'm going to do a weekly analysis on Mondays. Now that weekly analysis is pretty much going to cover trading for the whole week, hopefully. For Forex Mastermind members, there is an extra analysis session on Wednesday. For my YouTube, for the public, I guess you would call it, there's only one analysis session per week, and that's on Monday. So, yeah, let's get started. This is Monday's analysis. And we're going to start with USDJPY. You're looking at a USDJPY daily chart. So, what's going on with USDJPY? It is trending down pretty heavily, isn't it? It's just been moving down since last week. And it's been a very strong move. Sunday open, it just like kept dropping and it's heading towards this support area that we have here. I want to check how good the support area actually is. Alright, it's not the best support area. This support area is pretty iffy, actually. It's kind of okay, has some recent history, but it's a pretty weak support area. So what I'm going to be doing with USDJPY is I'm just going to be watching very closely. I want to see what happens when it approaches this support area we have, which is around about the 110.00. If it doesn't stall here, no problem. I'll look for a setup a bit lower than that. Like I said, it's a weak area, so I'm not really putting too much faith in it stalling right there. I'm actually going to put a secondary support area here, because it looks like this might be a bit stronger. So I'll be looking for price stalling, indecision forming for a potential bullish reversal from either here or here. I just want to see how it plays out. There's sometimes support and resistance is unclear, right? You're not always going to get support resistance being exactly clear and you know for sure where you're going to enter the trade. Or where there might even potentially be a trade, because there might not be. So right now, support resistance isn't really that clear. So I'm just going to place both of them and I'm going to watch closely. I'm going to monitor. We'll see what price does. If price falls into this 110.00 and it stalls here, so we get indecision forming here, then that might give us a nice trade setup. If it cuts straight through this area as if it doesn't exist, then we know that this is in fact a weak area and we could just look for the next one, which is the 109.50. So things are a little bit unclear on USDJPY right now, but it's worth keeping an eye on and just seeing how it plays out. Alright, AUD-USD. AUD-USD is trending up pretty heavily. We're getting a lot of big moves this week. AUD-USD is just pushing straight up through this resistance area here, the 78.80. It just cut straight through it, and it's approaching the next one quite quickly. The next one is the 0.8050. Now this is a strong resistance area on AUD-USD, and I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on this one. Why is it a strong resistance area? Well, you just got to look over to the left to see price stalling here twice. And here again, or well, this one was before. So it stalled here once and then another 2 times. Now, you got to actually look at this closely to understand why it's very strong. This move up from these lows down here around about 73.50, it was a really, really strong move. It took a while to complete. Towards the end of it, it sped up. So this was a strong move. Buyers were really strong. They were trending up heavily. And this trend stalled exactly here at the 0.8050. It stalled there and it turned around. It made another attempt at breaking through. Couldn't break through, couldn't hold that high. Turned around. Made a third attempt. Couldn't hold above this 80.50. Sorry, the 0.8050. And then turned around again. So it made 3 attempts at breaking through this area and it couldn't manage it. And then it retraced all the way back down, close to where it started. Not quite where it started, but close to it. It went all the way back down to 0.7500. So now it's making another run up to this 0.8050. Is it going to break this time? Well, we don't know. It might break, it might not break. But what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for price to stall on this resistance area. I'm going to be watching very closely. If price approaches this resistance area and we start to see similar things to what we saw last time it was here, we start to see indecision forming on the resistance area, that's going to tell me that price might not be able to get through there, and I would be looking potentially to take a short. We'll just see what happens when it approaches the area and we'll trade it from there. Alright, AUDJPY seems to be stuck in what looks to be possibly the start of a new range. Might not be, but it looks like it could be the start of a new range. So AUDJPY has pushed up into this area. It's bounced from this high, come back to this low, and it's bounced from it. So this could be the start of a new range in this area. JPY pairs do love to range, or it could just be a continuation. So there's nothing really much that I'm looking for here this week. If it does approach this resistance area, the 89.00 up here, if it approaches that area, I will potentially be looking for a short trade. But as of right now, it's pretty far from the area, and you know, it's just we're just going to wait and see with this one. Alright, AUD New Zealand, messy as usual. I don't really like this pair. I only keep it open because some of you guys trade it and you ask me to check it every now and then. But yeah, there's nothing really much going on here. It's in between support resistance. It all looks pretty messy. Let's just skip that one. On to another pair that I hardly ever trade, that I only have open because you guys ask me about it often. And that is CAD JPY. Not a fan of this pair. Again, it's a messy pair. It's an unpredictable pair. It does have some good trades every now and then, but they're few and far between. An example of a good trade would have been this one here. That was an awesome short from this resistance area here. But right now, it doesn't really look like much is going on with CAD JPY. It's broken below the support area. The support area here at the, what is that? 89.30. So it's broken below the 89.30 support area. It's come back up to test it. Looks like it's acting as resistance now. Looks like we might be seeing a continuation, but it's too late to enter a continuation. If you were entering one, you should have been in it already. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it would have been hard to get into this continuation, to be honest. But anyway, it's all too late. So let's look at something else. Euro AUD. Yeah, Euro AUD is kind of messy right now. It's kind of stuck on this support area. Doesn't quite know what it wants to do. There's not much potential here right now. Nothing that I see happening this week. So let's take a look at Euro GBP. Alright, Euro GBP is actually stuck in a pretty tight range here. Euro GBP has been stuck in this range for a while now. Fell down into this support area, came back up. Tried to get through this resistance, failed, came down to the support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, so on and so forth. It's been stuck in this range for quite some time. It's been a pretty messy range, but it's a range nonetheless. What I'm looking for this week with Euro GBP is I'm looking for price to push up to this, to the top of this range, which is roughly the 0.8960, and we might be able to get a potential short trade there. Just going to have to wait and see what happens with that one. Euro JPY, yeah, nothing much going on. I mean, it's pushing up quite quickly. I'm interested to see what happens if it hits this previous high here at the 136.50. That is a pretty, is it a strong resistance area? I think it is, but Yeah, it's a strong resistance area. It has some history way back in 2015. So it's quite some time ago, but it's a strong resistance area because more recently we can see this pretty strong bounce from this resistance area. See that strong bounce there? So that's from the 136.50, roughly 136.40. I want to see what happens when it hits this area again. It might give us a nice potential trade, or it might not. Let's just wait and see with that one. I'm not terribly excited over that. EURUSD is trending up like crazy, isn't it? It's just pushing up and up and up and up. But it is stalling at our resistance area. Now, what is this resistance area based on? I need to double check this one. I want to make sure it's not accidentally on my charts. It's not based on much, that's for sure. So this is the problem sometimes that you have with support resistance areas. Support and resistance areas are, in my opinion, the best way to trade. But sometimes when price pushes into an area that it hasn't seen for a long time, so when it's hitting highs that it hasn't been at for a long time, then you don't really have many support resistance areas to use. So you have to make do with very old data, but then you have to go back to 2014, which just makes the support resistance areas not that reliable. So we're using an area from 2014 here. It's not that reliable, it's not that great, but nonetheless, we can see price is heavily stalling on this resistance area. So we can see that this resistance area is all the way back from 2014. Let's scroll back to it again. There's a faster way to scroll, but this way is slightly more accurate. So we can see that this area it acted as support all the way back in 2014. Is this even 2004? Yeah, it is. And then if you go back even further to 2012, we can see it acted as a strong area of support resistance. Big bounces there, big bounces here, bounce there, so on and so forth. So, you know, this area is placed based on that data, very, very old data, but nonetheless, going back to today, January 2018, oops, I just moved that area. Where does price stall? Out of all the places, it stalls on that area. So it does look like a solid area, even though it's based on old data. Now, what am I going to do with this? This is a nice looking setup so far. I mean, that is indecision smack on top of this area. There is potential for a short trade here. Now, the problems I have with a short trade here, this is a massively strong trend on EURUSD. You know, reversal trading is all about trading counter trend. So I'm not afraid of trading counter trend. I don't think trading counter trend is bad. But there are some occasions where a trend is so strong that you probably don't want to counter it lightly. And this looks like one of those occasions. Euro is just so strong right now. You know, it's a bit risky countering this trend. And why do I say it's strong? You just have to look over to the left a little bit to see how strong this current move is. There's almost no candles this size. Maybe there's one or two here, a big one there. But if you look back over the last year of EURUSD, it's very rare that we see candles this big. It's very rare that we see this much volatility on EURUSD. But we're seeing it right now. So these kinds of moves, they make me worried about jumping in short. Nonetheless, I am going to look at possibly entering a short trade here. I'm not going to rush into this one, like I said, because I don't want to counter this trend lightly. I'm not going to rush into it. I'm going to watch very closely. I want to see what happens here. I want to see what happens with this 12-hour candle. But I'm probably not going to just go with a 12-hour candle. This is such a strong move. I want price to actually stall here. I want it to actually settle here. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the daily chart. I want to see what happens on the daily. There is potential for a short trade here, but we do need to trade with care because we're countering an absurdly strong euro move, and we just need to trade with care. Ryan, I'm thinking about shorting if it breaks the last bullish candle's bottom wick. Shorting on the 12-hour, I assume you mean, Ryan. 4-hour. That is, in my opinion, a bit of an early entry. This is what it always comes down to with trading. There's traders who like to take risk, and there's traders that don't like to take risk. I'm firmly in the don't like to take risk category, but that doesn't mean that that's the best way to be. Some traders are happier to take bigger risks, and that just means that they're able to take a lot more trades than me, because I tend to skip trades if they're too risky. So it sounds to me like you're a trader that likes to take more risk. That's fine. You don't have to copy me exactly. You can use my strategy in many different ways. You're using my strategy in a way that you're taking riskier trades. That's cool. If you want to jump in short on the 4-hour, this is a valid setup on the 4-hour. Personally, I'm going to wait it out. I want to see at least this 12-hour candle closing, but potentially even something happening on the daily. I don't want to jump in on the 4-hour. It's just a bit too risky to me. Like I said, this is an extremely strong bullish move, and I don't want to counter it lightly. And countering it based on a stall on a 4-hour chart is what I would consider going in counter trend with very little backup. Nazmul, if it closes on the 12-hour, would I put a pending order tonight? Probably not. I need to still do some analysis on the setup, some risk analysis, but I'm 75% sure the answer to that is going to be no. I am probably going to wait for the daily. I mean, you never really know until you're in the moment. If this candle closes on the 12-hour, and then, all right, let me just give you a scenario just to explain this. Let's say this 12-hour candle closes exactly like it is now. And then the next candle opens up here, and it starts to push down pretty quickly. Let's say within the first, hour, it's pushing down and it looks like it's going to break the low. Then it pushes down and it breaks the low, pushes all the way down to here. Now that would tell me that this resistance area is working quite well. It would tell me that sellers are taking control, and I would definitely be looking to get into this trade. Now an entry here would be about a bit too late, so I'd be looking for a retrace. So if it pushes down to here and then it retraces back up, then I might definitely consider an entry, because I'm seeing that sellers have taken control of price. I'm seeing that there's a lot of sellers in the market, because if you look at all these candles here, sellers were just not in the market at all. Look at the lower wicks. They're tiny. This one's the biggest one, and this one's still tiny. So sellers, for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, have barely been able to take any ground to the short side. But if they were able to push down to here, for example, that's not an exact number, just roughly. That would indicate that sellers are now taking control of price. We've gone from a market controlled by buyers to sellers taking control. I'd then be looking to get in on a retrace. But if the candle closes as is, and then we just get price doing something like that, making a candle up here, pushing up a little bit, or just pretty much stalling, I'm not gonna look to jump in. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set an alarm here. So I'm gonna set an alarm just a bit above the high, the low of this indecision candle. So my alarm will go roughly here, just to get, just so I get some warning if price starts to push down, and then I'll make my decision, around about then. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch. Oh yeah, that's another important point. It's a US bank holiday today, so well, it's kind of over though. Today is over, but that could be why this candle here has such low volatility. So with the open of the next candle, or just tomorrow in general when the US is back, it could just continue up on its way. The low volatility today might just be in relation to, or towards the end of today, I mean, might just be in relation to US being closed. So yeah, that's something to consider. Thanks for pointing that out back. So yeah, EURUSD, potential short forming here. I'm going to wait it out and be patient. I'm going to see how what happens after this candle closes. If you want to trade it on the 4 hour, feel free. I personally think it's a bit risky doing that. But hey, it's up to you how you want to enter your trades. All right, let's look at GBPUSD. GBPUSD is pushed up to this resistance area. Looks like it's stalling pretty heavily here. There could be a short trade here, but it's just so messy. I don't really want to take this. I'm not that interested in this. So I'm just going to skip straight to GBPJPY. Hopefully we'll see something more interesting on GBPJPY. And we do, in fact. That looks pretty cool. But actually, let's move EURUSD to the top of the list, because that way I remember to check back in on it. It's going to be hard to forget EURUSD with such a crazy setup, but I just have a general rule: when I want to monitor a pair, I move it to the top of my watch list. That way, when I come back 3 or 4 hours later, I have it at the top of the list and I can check it. All right, so GBPJPY, what's going on with that? It looks like it's pushed back up to this resistance area and it's stalling pretty heavily here. Yeah, this might give us a nice little short setup to kick off the week. Bit of a counter trend setup. Wouldn't be looking for a big target on something like this, not at all. I'm not looking for it to fall down to the next support area. So there might be a short setup here, but it's not a particularly strong setup. I'm watching this on the 12 hour. I want to see this current 12 hour candle closing. Very small target, probably around about the 150.50, probably a tad above that. Want to get a little bit above that psychological level. 150.80, something like that. I'm not saying I'm going to jump in short right away. I want to see what this 12 hour, how this 12 hour candle closes. After the 12 hour candle closes, it's going to close in 1.5 hours. It might give us a nice potential short. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see with this one. But this is just such a basic setup. We have a bullish trend, or a very small bullish trend, heading into an area of resistance, and now we have price stalling at that area of resistance. So this could give us a nice little quick reversal setup. We'll keep a close eye on it. I'll move it to the top. We did GBPUSD, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Right, GBPUSD. GBPUSD is forming a very similar setup to EURUSD, except it's below resistance. But we got to confirm this resistance area, make sure it shouldn't be moved a bit lower. No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like the resistance area is fine. Why don't I just press this button? I always forget to do that. Alright, so GBPUSD is stalling just below the resistance area, but it's an old resistance area. So like I said, the resistance area is, not exactly reliable. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this. It might give us a potential trade from this resistance area, even though it's well above it, well above the current candle. Still worth watching because it's an old resistance area, so it's a bit, it's a bit unclear. This could be a similar setup to EURUSD. I'm going to keep a close eye on it on the 12 hour. New Zealand JPY, I don't even know why I have this pair open. I never trade this pair. I'm just going to close it. I don't want to trade that pair. Right, New Zealand USD. What's going on with that? No, that area is fine. All right, New Zealand USD trending up heavily, about to hit this resistance area. going to keep a close eye on it and see what happens when it hits the 73.30 resistance area. But as for right now, there's nothing really happening here. Might get a potential short from the 73.30. Yeah, it's just a wait and see. USDCAD. Oh, that looks pretty cool. USDCAD has indecision forming on top of the support area. This is a pretty good support area. I'm going to pull it down a tad to be more in line with this more recent bounce here. Yeah, something like that. I think that's fine. It doesn't really matter. I just like to adjust my areas to the most recent bounce, but it doesn't really matter for what we're seeing here currently. So what we're seeing here currently on USDCAD is price stalling on top of this support area. Yeah, trying to figure out what the trend is, but trend's a bit unclear really. Okay, so what happened? Let's break this down. Bearish trend heading into support, pushed away from it. It's coming back to retest the support area, looking for a potential long trade here because we're seeing indecision on the 12-hour. Might give us a nice little long trade. This is not going to have a big target. It's going to have quite a small target. If it's even entered, I'm not saying I'm going to enter this one yet. We need to wait and see what happens when this candle closes. You always have to wait for the candle, for the indecision candle to close. So when the indecision candle closes, it might give us a nice little setup. It might not. We need to wait and see. So let's keep a close eye on USDCAD. Let's see what happens. If you don't understand my strategy, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't understand what we're waiting for, go to forexnoobs.com and click strategy from the menu at the top, and that explains my strategy. All right, USDCAD, pull that to the top. USDCHF. Yeah, that's pretty messy. Falling into the support area, but it's not quite there yet. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens when it hits the support area. And then we have just gold and silver. We don't really trade those that often. Although gold does look pretty interesting right now. It's approaching this very strong resistance area. It's an extremely strong resistance area on gold. Let's keep a close eye on the 1350.00 resistance area. But anyway, let's focus on what's more important here. EURUSD giving us potential signs of this trend stalling out. We're seeing signs right now on the 12-hour. I'm going to be watching that closely. I'm going to be watching the daily closely. I want to see what happens with GBPUSD at this resistance area. GBPUSD, very similar, except it's slightly below resistance right now. But it's an old resistance area based on old data. So, you know, it is not a perfect resistance area. So if price stalls here, it's going to give us a similar setup to EURUSD. Might be a nice short opportunity. We're just going to have to wait and see. USDCAD price is stalling on top of this support area. Could give us a potential long. We need to wait and see what happens when this candle closes. And finally, GBPJPY could give us a potential short. We need to wait and see what happens when this candle closes. Michael, I don't know what you mean, Michael. Did I miss something you said? But again, market was closed today on USDCAD, I mean. But what are you asking about USDCAD? Are you just saying this indecision candle might be forming because the market was closed? If that's what you're saying, then yeah, I totally agree. That could be the reason it's forming. But you got to keep in mind, the US market is a big market in Forex, but by far the London session, you know, so London and all of Europe, that's a lot bigger. So just because the US is closed, it doesn't mean that volatility all of a sudden just gets sucked out of the market and it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that we can just ignore indecision candles and say, hey, I'm not going to trade those. You know, it is something to take into consideration Of course, US market being closed probably is going to lead to reduced volatility, but I'm still going to take note of all these indecision candles and potentially jump into trades if the setup looks good. But, we're not going to jump in blindly. I am waiting for this candle to close. I am waiting for the next candle to open, and I want to see what that next candle does. We're not just going to jump in blindly and say these are trades. We're going to take a cautious approach. We're going to wait it out and just see how, see what happens. What about USDCHF 6 hour? Well, USDCHF is above my support area, so doesn't look like a setup to me. My support area is down here at the 95.75. I can see why you might have it higher. It's a very messy area for support resistance, to be honest. I'm going to stick with it being down here at these lower bounces. I think it's quite high above the support area, so yeah, I'm not gonna take a trade here personally. All right. Someone asked before the webinar, because they can't make the webinar. They asked me to answer this question. I'm going to read out the question. Just wanted to ask a question for tonight's webinar. I guess I didn't have to read out that part. The question is, how do you trade the current volatile EURUSD and GBPUSD markets? Are you keeping an eye on them or looking at other pairs for setups? I don't really mind that EURUSD and GBPUSD are volatile. I'm still going to be looking for setups on EURUSD and GBPUSD, as obviously we've talked about here in the analysis so far tonight. Still looking for setups on these pairs. I definitely don't mind that I do mind somewhat. Like I was saying, I don't want to counter a very strong trend lightly, but the volatility is not going to keep me out, is what I'm saying. Just because it's volatile, I'm not going to stay out. I am still looking for potentially get into a short trade, because there is definitely potential here on these pairs. Thanks for watching the analysis. I hope it was useful. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button below. Also, for instant notifications when I post analysis or other cool videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Once the setups I share in this analysis trigger, I post live updates as I manage the trade, such as my entry, exit, stop, and when to get out of the trade. For these updates, add me on Facebook or Twitter by clicking the buttons below. I'll see you in the next video.